better tie-in accuracy of topo along the location of the proposed improvements.
The exhibits A74A through A74F, which are all revised road profiles, are those based on exhibit A65 or A71? Oh, I'm sorry, what was the revised plan?
A72.
72.
They should be, the internal roads are are representative of A72 because that would show the removal of the intersections, the two 90-degree intersections, and that's mainly what the updated road profiles are for.
Are you confident that you can provide the necessary site distance to meet the township requirements at the intersection of Road K and West Pleasant Grove?
Yes, we can.
And can you quantify the amount of grading that will be necessary in order to do that?
There will be grading along the edges, along the right-of-way, to take away some of the existing berm that is at that location.
Do you have an approximate amount of how much land needs to be taken away?
It should be around the right-of-way line, plus maybe a couple feet internal to the subdivision itself. A few more feet would need it to be adjusted for the site distance itself.
But the plans right now that you've submitted do not show the detail of the level of grading needed to achieve the site distance, correct?
We did adjust on the A72 plan set the limit of disturbance needed throughout the site for the road widening and proposed site distances throughout the project.
Okay, so you're saying that if we look at A72, which I don't think any township engineer has looked at yet, you believe that that addresses and quantifies more the amount of grading necessary to achieve site distance? Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay. Going back to Exhibit A68, and I apologize, I'm flipping around a little bit here, and I'm almost done. One of the things I don't think that's clear on Exhibit A68 is where the westernmost access driveway from the church, from the Westminster Church is, leading to West Pleasant Grove. Do you show that on this plan, the westernmost driveway?
It is shown on there. It's been, it is shown on there. It's very lightly shown. But it is along the property line, the westernmost portion of the property line for the church. Trying to describe it in a couple different locations. It is.
Well, do you know? Let me ask you this: do you know how many feet are between that exit driveway and the collector road where it intersects with West Pleasant Grove?
The proposed collector road is roughly 50 feet off of our property line. So it's probably in the vicinity of 50 to 60 feet.
Do you see any safety issue with vehicles exiting the church using that westernmost driveway, turning left onto West Pleasant Grove and then turning left again onto the connector road?
I believe it was contemplated that there is talks with the church to possibly relocate that westernmost entrance to the collector road. One of our propositions is to include an easement from the collector road to the proposed church location for a possible relocation of that entrance/exit.
And that proposal that you just described is actually shown on Exhibit A76, the alternate plan, correct?
That is correct.
And you would agree with me that that would be a safer alternative as far as vehicles wanting to make that turning movement?
Objection. I think that's beyond the scope of his testimony. That's the traffic engineer's testimony.
Well, he prepared the plans.
You didn't prepare traffic testimony. You're asking traffic testimony.
I'm not asking traffic testimony. I'm asking from a civil engineer who designed plans whether it's a safer movement.
That's a question for a traffic engineer.
Well, I think if he's comfortable answering the question, I would say go ahead and answer the question.
All I'm stating was that there is a proposed easement from the collector road to the church location that could be used for the relocation.
Can you pull up Exhibit A75, which is the South New Street Road widening? There, right in the center there's a notation that says adjustment. Oh wait, no, where is it? Yeah, adjustments and widening with may need to be made. Can you explain what you mean by that notation?
There is a transition that's going from the 14-foot widening on New Street, then over the existing culvert that's there, and then ultimately back to that 14-foot complete widening. That's what's depicted on the plans. So that's what that transition area is, what that note references.
Meaning that Toll does not intend to widen that area over the culvert. So is that a bridge there?
Yeah, a bridge culvert, yes.
And Toll is not intending to do any widening in that location, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Is on Exhibit A72, which was the revised site plan, you mentioned that one of the changes was 2 of the internal road intersections that were originally designed at 90-degree bends. They're now, you've eliminated those 90-degree bends. And you said that was done at the request of the traffic engineer. Is Toll willing to implement that change shown on Exhibit A72, if you know?
Yes, they are.
And just so I'm clear, you indicated that Exhibit A65, which is the overall conditional use plans, is your testimony that there are no waivers needed for those plans.
At this moment, yes, that's what we believe, yes.
Thank you. I have no further questions, and thank you very much for pulling up all the exhibits.
Welcome.
I inadvertently skipped over my chairman who had a question coming out of the break, so I want to go back to Mr. Pomerantz, who had a question for the witness.
Let's try again. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Pat, a couple of things. Is that one is that first of all, in light of the comprehensiveness of Kristen's questioning of the witness, also I'm looking at the time. I did have a clarification question, but I think in fairness to those who, all the parties, I think I'll hold my question for when it comes to the appropriate time for the board to ask questions. I think, though, what we might want to do in consultation with Greg and Andrew is I have here 9:25, and I know that there's been a lot of disruption, etc. Maybe we ought to agree on a time as to when we'd say, okay, at this point, notwithstanding where we are in the questioning process from the parties, that we'll say, okay, we'll stop then. All of your thoughts.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that, I mean, we've probably got, for everyone to ask their cross-examination questions, I would think at least another hour to do so, and I'm not suggesting that we go that late tonight. My recommendation was going to be, subject to whatever clarification question that you had, given the hour, was to wrap up for tonight and ask Mr. Madden to come back in December and pick up where we left off. And my expectation would be that we would finish Mr. Madden's testimony that evening and then begin with the testimony and evidence of the Planning Commission and just go through the parties from there.
That would work for me. I'm happy to ask the clarification question, if that's all right with everybody, because it really goes back to the beginning of the questioning from Greg to Mr. Madden. But first of all, for Andrew and Greg, do you agree that right after this, I asked this question, and the answer is that we will wait and hold until our next meeting on the 16th?
Yes, Dick, that's acceptable. We'll bring Mr. Madden back, obviously, to complete his cross-examination.
I appreciate that. Mr. Madden, my question to you is a clarification, and I don't know whether you can do this or not, and I don't know whether there's the capacity to do that in the Zoom. You were asked the question of the alternate plan that was proposed and discussed with the Planning Commission, which they ultimately turned down. But for the sake of the argument, and certainly for myself, can I just go over what I think you said, is that the alternate plan would have moved, it sounded like the whole plan, and I can't remember whether you said it was hundreds of acres or many acres, and I presume that would be to the east. Is that correct?
That is correct. I stated hundreds of feet to the east.
Hundreds of feet to the east, okay. And you also referenced that would involve a different mix of housing. Can you explain and sort of compare that the CU plan versus the alternate plan?
Sure. Give me 1 second, please. Okay. Right now, on the proposed conditional use plan, there is 135 townhomes shown. On this plan, there is 145 carriage homes / townhomes proposed. There was 118 side entry singles. That has been reduced from 118 singles to 92 estate homes, which is prefaced on this new conditional use alternative plan. And the remaining lots went from 64 front entry singles to 80, what's clarified here as executive / courtyard homes.
Jeff, if I may, can you see what's being shown on Exhibit A? I think it was 76.
Apologize, I have a different exhibit up, or a different rendition up. There are proposed 135 pounds on the conditional use plan. Proposed on this alternative is 145 carriage homes. There was 118 side entry singles. Proposed is 109 estate homes. And also there was 64 front entry singles, and there's now proposed 63 executive / courtyard homes.
And I appreciate that. Now, for clarification, because you and as professionals understand and can define the difference between a side entry house, the executive house, whatever terminology you're using, what's the difference?
These side entry homes would have a side entry 2 or 3 car garage, which is comparable to the nomenclature on the alternative plan of the estate home. And the front entry singles would have a driveway that would go up to straight up to the house itself, and that is comparable to the executive / courtyard homes shown on the alternative plan.
Can you explain, again, for definitional purposes or descriptive purposes? Most of us think of houses in the internal square feet. So the carriage house on average would be how many square feet? the executive homes would be how many square feet, et cetera?
Sure. On the stormwater management plan, on the stormwater management report, we have, for informational purposes in designing the impervious, we have the carriage homes, which is the townhomes, listed as 2,200 square foot base house. The executive lots as 2,400 square foot base house, and the estate lots also as 2,400 square foot base house. And all of those, the executive lots and the estate lots could have anywhere from 800 square foot or more of possible options. But that's just the snapshot in time of what we use for our impervious calculations. I'm not exactly sure the square footage that they're proposing at this time for sales.
I appreciate that. My last question, that goes back to what I was saying. I don't know whether it's possible. Do you have some type of slide that overlays the conditional use site plan versus the alternate site plan that was proposed to the Planning Commission, that we'll be able to sort of just look at, eyeball it and say, now I understand what the difference is?
If you look at the alternative site plan that's shown, the underlying or ghosted out red lines are the, I want to state this correctly, the existing conditional use layout that's before you under this conditional use, which is part of exhibit A65. And the marker line weight on this plan is that alternative, which shows the shift along the western portion, mainly up the project, a few hundred feet
Jeff,
to the east.
Jeff, you're breaking up again, and I think you're holding the mic too close.
Okay.
If you could we'll use our pointer and highlight the areas of red that you're describing to help assist answer the question. If you can answer the question again, that'd be great.
Sure. In the lower left-hand corner, there is an area that's being highlighted on this slide of the existing conditional use plan as part of A65. And then on the darker hatch, the darker line weight is the alternative location for those lots and other lots throughout the project for the relocated lots. Also, there are some other areas that we've relocated some lots, as this alternative plan proposes public sewer. So in the lower right-hand corner, there's been some additional townhomes located on the previous area of the spray field. And then there's smaller areas of transition from the red light ghosted out area to the newer alternative plan that can be seen on this alternative plan. Slight changes throughout the entire area.
I appreciate that. I'll reserve the rest of my questions for when it's the appropriate time for the board to ask questions. And Greg and Andrew, I thank you for that, and also Pat, appreciate it.
You're welcome, Dick. And just for the record, Mr. Madden was testifying to Exhibit A76.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to continue tonight's hearing until December 16th at 7 p.m. It will be via Zoom. We will make sure to confirm that the instructions are accurate and on the website and on the listserv. We apologize for the error for tonight's hearing. Everything's gone pretty well through 6 Zooms, so this wasn't too bad. At which time Mr. Madden will return, and we'll go through the rest of the parties. You all have the opportunity to ask him your questions. You'll then have the opportunity for redirect, and it's my expectation that Toll will rest their case in chief at that time. So Ms. Camp and the Planning Commission should be prepared to begin their case at this December hearing. All right. Thank you all. Have a healthy, safe Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you in December.
Happy
Thanks,
holidays.
Pat. Everybody be safe.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.